theme. My sister and I used to make up the invitations. It was just, it was just being surrounded with that family, that core feeling. Felt safe.
So Nicole, we have to go back on live. Okay. Are we on? Sorry, Nicole.
That's okay.
I
Learning this.
and the I was about to get really like personal. Like, all right. So I'm really concerned about like the whole live thing, right? Because it's bringing us in, taking us out, all that good stuff. But I want to go back and ask you the questions again so that the viewers can hear what you have to say, right? I the thing is that we've known each other for over a decade, since 2006, right? And we met each other at 24. You have a genuine love for people, even more love for children. Like I just see how you are with AJ. We are, FaceTiming, and you're like, like making like silly faces, right? And then if he's at your house, you're like rolling on the floor with him and things like that. Um, where does your love for people, particularly children, where does it come from?
This is this is a hard question. I don't know. It just comes from within. I think I don't really look at children as children. I look at them as people. I think it's just my love for people, my love for learning about people, love for seeing things from a different perspective. So I think that when I am on the floor playing with Ari, or where we're having a conversation and then Ari jumps in on FaceTime or something, and I switch to Ari. It's it's just about, it's just the interaction, and I almost feel guilty sometimes because I feel like I'm getting more than I give.
Mm.
Does that make sense?
I mean, it makes sense based on what you're saying, but my experience with you has always been very fulfilling, and I'm sure AJ Ari is feeling the same connection. I mean, he asks about you almost all the time, right? And just growing up, right? You talk vividly about your experiences growing up in New Orleans, right? What were some of the fondest memories you have with your parents, or as a parent with your children in New Orleans? New Orleans.
No.
Did I say it right? New Orleans.
Oh, one of my grandmothers used to say New Orleans. New Orleans. No.
New Orleans.
I just say New Orleans. I don't know. Whatever.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, the first memories that come to mind of growing up is just being surrounded by family.
Right.
I had a German grandmother, I had a Sicilian grandmother. My German grandmother's home was larger. It was filled with aunts and uncles and cousins and big holiday parties, and playing under the pool table, or playing outside in the swimming pool, or jumping on the trampoline, or just our cousins were our friends. And then at my other grandmother's house, it was the same thing, just on a smaller scale. I had three cousins. Right. And so there were 6 of us that were all girls. And then on my dad's side, it was very strange. It was for half, well, it was kind of like 2 generations of grandchildren. So the first generation of grandchildren were all boys except for my sisters and me, my 2 sisters and me.
Yep.
And then girls started happening like much later, like after, I don't even know how old I was. Probably, I can't remember, like 15 or something. But the girls, so we did things that were different. At my Sicilian grandmother's house, it was, we were putting on shows for everybody, and dancing and singing to 1950s tunes, and it was a small town. It was just very different. But all I remember, when I really just think about it, it was just the safety, the being surrounded with love, and just a safety net, just core family.
Right.
And then being a mom, I think I just try to instill that love because I raised the girls as a single mom, and I just wanted to surround them with love and let them know that they were loved all the time. Just remembering, friends coming over all the time, and creating those birthday parties. We like to do birthday parties at home, creating the invitations, and having just those old fashioned, just home parties where we played
Yeah.
games and sleepovers, and it was just a good time.
And it's great because I look at you as an example, right? And I try to emulate those things, right? So you're like, oh, we're doing this. I'm like, oh, well, we're gonna do it too. Or like, we're gonna do the Rice Krispie treats, right?
Yeah, I love
And we're gonna do Rice Krispie treats as well, right? And so I appreciate you for those solid values of like family and things that are important. Um, and this is way before the whole pandemic. So I
yeah.
just appreciate you for instilling that perspective that I didn't necessarily have. Like, growing up, my family is my family. Like is a lot of us. We did a lot of great things. We had a lot of fun. But like you're very like, let's sit at the table and eat together. My family, we never did that. No phones at the table, right? Like let's take together, right? Those types of things that I think are very important for a family structure that you help me to instill back into my family, my family structure, if you will.
But you see, that's where we just learn from each other, and it's not that one way is necessarily better than a right. Not that one way is right or wrong, right?
Right,
Just those. That's just what's important to me. And for example, sitting at the table, having dinner together, I
right,
believe is important because we share stories, we tell about what happened. That's how we know about each other.
right.
And the no phones at the table. Big pet peeve of mine.
Yeah, yeah.
Can't have a phone at the table.
No phones at the table.
Not even when we're out eating.
And I appreciate that. And I'm gonna hit you with another question. We're gonna go to the resources piece because before we told everyone we were doing it, there were a bunch of questions that people had about resources. And I just have to be very clear that in my video there was a blind spot, period. Right. I
There
understand
was.
that.
Big
I,
blind
I have no experience with kids ages, I guess, 5 to about 10, 11. And to be honest, that's a group that's really scary to me, right? Like, I don't know much about that stage of life, and I am uncomfortable talking about it. So,
Well, and we discussed this as one of my pieces of feedback with you, that that I was like, what happened to those kids? What
right.
are parents supposed to do with those kids? What
Mhm.
are they going to do now? They're not going to know what to do. A little dramatic, I know, but
Right.
but I did a little bit of research.
Mhm.
And first I just brainstormed. I just had a list going. I took a picture and I showed it to you. I had all my post-its connected.
Right, right,
And I
right.
was
I
just like,
saw that. I'm
as I
gonna share it with everyone after this.
came up with an idea, I jotted it down. And then my ideas dried up, and I was like, okay, well, what's the internet saying? Like, what are
Right,
people putting out there? Um,
right,
and I think the internet is a strong source, but I think it's also helpful to hear it through in a venue like we're having, or
right.
through the right perspective series that you're doing, because I think that it is very important, like I said before, just to hear from us, not just the celebrities, right? About
Right.
what they're doing and how they're filling their kids' time and so forth. And there's a lot of things that we can do that don't cost anything, and we
Right.
don't need the supplies for, or we can order them and have them delivered. And so there are good, very many options.
And
So
so,
um,
do
I
you want
did,
me to share it on the screen?
yeah. So what I do is I went ahead and put together a list, and of course, I had to categorize it. Um, and it's definitely something that I think should be shared, because I think people, whether they might have done these things when they were younger themselves, they might have thought about it but forgot. They might have used to do this and forgot they did it. So it's just a good reminder for families or people, any age to do. And I know that being an educator, it's very important to really, just because something is right for an age group doesn't mean it's right for a specific child. Whether they are gifted, whether they're talented, whether they have other challenges in learning, whether they have autism, or anybody, right? And so
Right.
when I think of planning, I don't just think of a specific group of people. I think what can be done and how can I make it fit for the children who are involved,
Right.
or for the people who are involved. So, and I guess it's kind of like when you come over, when I cook, right? When I make
Right.
jambalaya, I don't make jambalaya with shrimp when I know you're coming over because you're not supposed to have it.
Even
And
though
so,
I eat it anyway, right?
well, so now I know that when you come over, I make jambalaya without shrimp. Um,
Right.
we can still have jambalaya.
Right.
So, and that's just kind of how I look at everything in life. It's not that you can't have it; it's just how can we alter it to make it work for the population. So I put
Absolutely.
together this list of resources. Do you have it?
Yes. Do you see it? Am I sharing it with you?
Yeah, it is a big white page. White.
Uh, I see like a bunch of resources on it. You don't see that on your end?
I don't. I don't.
You don't see it either. All right. Let me see. So I'm gonna try sharing it again.
Okay.
Here we go. Can you see it?
Ah, there we go. Yes.
There we
All right.
go.
Scroll up to the top, please.
Yep.
Okay, so these are things that I came up with, that I, again, categorized. I put them in alphabetical order, except for the first and the last set. And the first set, learning, just because, I think through this time, that it's very important that learning is a priority. And so those are just some simple resources. You did mention Khan Academy in your series, but
Yep.
also another one is IXL. But that's it's Khan is very interesting because they have so many topics.
Yeah.
It's free right now, like you mentioned, and it's from pre-K to professional life. And then IXL is another one, which is really more academic based. And then
Hmm.
we have some other ones that, just looking at new podcasts, discovering new topics, learning about the history of music, even learning from celebrities who are or are doing interviews, or even Ellen DeGeneres. I love
Yeah.
her.
Yeah.
Broadcasting from home, and just seeing her just in a different light, a different perspective.
Yep. Absolutely. So just keep going on to discover animals.
Yeah, discover animals. And so what we can do is, they do have hyperlinks in these. So it's something that people can click into, hopefully, if that'll work through the PDF. We'll figure it out when you post it, though.
Right.
And so you can go into, they have live cameras in Africa
Yeah.
where you can see the wildlife. It is so, like, right now, I think it is dark there. I think if I'm correct.
Yeah. So it's 6 hours ahead.
Ahead of us, so it's
Yeah.
dark. And so, when I clicked on it a couple of nights, it was like, oh darn it, I need to get over there. But it's super cool. You can act, it's live. Teach your dog a new trick.
1 second. 1 second. So it's saying that we were live. Give me one more second. And we're gonna start exactly where you left off.
Belle's on the sofa sighing.
Let me stop sharing. Oh God. I think it'll be better if we just do Facebook Live next time. I do want to invite you back again because I feel like it was just so distorted in terms of the information that you've given. And I think it definitely makes sense. And I would want to like have it like, one cohesive piece of work. You know what I mean?
And another thing we can do is
All right. So we're live again. And so what I want to do is share the screen so that people will know exactly um, what we were just talking about. Hopefully they could see it as well.
yeah, we have
And so you're talking about discover animals.
discover animals. You can see Africa wildlife through live cameras. You can, um, anything with a family pet, teach them a new trick, learn a new recipe to make them treats. We can, another thing is diving into culture and virtual tours. So the amount of culture that is out there right now for free is amazing, from plays to opera to podcast, foreign films. You can see and virtually visit the Great Wall of China. And that's something that's just amazing. You can go to the Louvre Museum, the Met, the American Museum of Natural History. So many opportunities out there that, because they are all closed, these um, places have made virtual tours of them, or free concerts where we can actually see, or theater productions where we can see these live.
So, Nicole, what if I'm a parent who says, and this is what I really say, right? So I'm not playing devil's advocate, I'm playing Lewis advocate, right? At this point, like I do a bunch of activities and I showcase a lot of what we do together. Partly because I want to, and like bring excitement to the world and inspiration and empowerment, all that good stuff. But I'm tired, like legit. He's a toddler, he's 3. He wakes up 7 in the morning. He goes into about 1. He takes a 2 hour break, and then he's back on until about 9. Right. And so like these are the things that I've done with him because right, like I feel like I need to keep him engaged. But what do you say to the parent who's like, yo, I'm tired. I ain't got time for all of this. What's your suggestion?
My suggestion is, number one, a schedule. And I think that, and I know that you touched on this in your segment previously, but I just think that having routine, having a schedule, having one that is developed with everyone in mind, everyone has in the family or in the house has their schedule, and and each individual has input on their own schedule so that they can make sure what's important to them is embedded in that schedule. I spoke with my niece today, who's in college, who
Who's
is
in
now,
college? Yeah.
yeah, she's home.
Hannah. Hi, Hannah.
And yeah, that was another group that we did not discuss, the
Right.
college age students. So not only do we have, like you said, these parents home that with their children, and they're working and they're trying to, work from home or find a job, and
Right.
they're
Right.
also trying to make sure their child's doing homework and schoolwork and learning, as well as giving them outlets of breaks and so forth.
Right.
And
Right.
so
Right.
these resources, all of these that are curated, and the first, well, whatever, 2/3 of it,
Huh?
are things that children can go and do on their own. The age group that we're talking about, with
Yeah.
simple guidance from parents. So the night before, the parents, or the day before, or in their discussion of building a routine and a schedule, they learn their child's interests and help
Yeah.
guide
That's
the
real.
child. It's not about giving the child the answers. It's about giving the child choices, options, and guidance.
That's right.
And I think that as teachers, that is something that we try to do, not give them the answers, and not just tell them exactly what to do, but we need to teach our children how to think.
How to think.
And that is
Yeah.
something that educators are struggling with, because everything's in the palm of students' hands now with their cell phones. Um,
Yeah.
so yes, all the answers are there, but we also need to learn how to discover new things, how to analyze, how to curate, how to develop, how to find new interest. And
Right.
so this list that I put together of different areas of things to think about and to dive into, maybe your kid likes to go outside. Well, then let's get them doing something outside that there's a purpose. And I think that is what a routine does for us. It gives us purpose. It gives us, a lot of just drive to continue to move forward during this time, because it can be very difficult. It's not an easy time. And sometimes all the days just kind of keep going into each other.
Right, right.
You know,
Like a continuation of like Friday or whatever day you want, right?
right.
So it's
And
just like going on and on.
it's important to have that time where you are working. It's important to have that time where you are disconnected
Right.
from social media or your phone or your computer. It's important to tune in to your family, the
Yeah.
people you're living with, and
Intentional time. That's
it's
right.
important to also have that individual time,
Yeah.
that time where I can take care of myself,
That's
kind
right.
of regroup, reset, refresh, right? And be
Yep.
ready. So it's okay to tell your child, we're going to read. You're going to go in that room and I'm going to go in this room and we're going
Right.
to read for 15 minutes. And it doesn't have to be nothing we do has to be an hour. Nothing
Right.
we do has to be all day.
That's
And
right.
that's something that I think is very important that we realize as parents or as anyone who is home,
An aunt, a uncle, right? A
anybody,
godparent.
is
That's
that
right. Yeah.
anything that we do, if we have a routine, we remind ourselves this is not the end. This is just right now. And
Right.
I can do something for 30 minutes. I can do something for an hour. I can do something for 15 minutes.
That's right.
And then I can do something else. So
Right.
the awesome and most powerful thing is that the time is in our hands right now, and we get to control what we do.
Wow. That was powerful. That's absolutely like awesome. That time is in our hands because usually, right, we're governed by a schedule. We have to be here, we have to go over here, and we have to do that, we have to do this, right? And so at this point, time is in our hands, and we could essentially do what we want to do and what we need to do. Nicole, one thing that you didn't mention was that you are a special education teacher, and you provide, you work with autistic children. You work with students with special, specific learning disabilities. You work with kids from a gamut of like classifications, if you will. So, is the list that you have come up with, is that does that include them as well?
It does. It absolutely does, because I have had students from ages 5 to 18. I've had students at all different abilities. Age 5 reading on a sixth grade level. I've had sixth graders reading on a kindergarten level. I've had
Right.
12th graders functioning mathematically at a first grade level. So
Mhm.
it's not that any one of these activities or resources is not appropriate for anyone. It's really that they're appropriate for everyone with interest in mind.
Right, right, right.
And so, if
That's
someone
important.
it is if someone's is interested in space, there's a resource there that I put where there is a live cam on Mars. You can
Yeah.
actually, you know, visualize being on Mars. How cool is that for a kid who wants to see outer space? Or there's planetariums that have virtual tours. It's just the resources out there that I really encourage everyone to go out and look for things that they remember as a child wanting to be. I wanted, whatever you wanted to be or dreamed of, or remember those. Go
Yeah.
back and remember, really think about what your interests are and go back and research. Oh, I loved space as a kid. Go back
Right.
and search. There are, and on this resource list, there's hyperlinks to everything that I'm talking about.
Right.
And it's just amazing. And a lot of these resources that before we had to pay for or cost,
Right. Right.
you know, a lot of them are free. Or
Right.
if you think about spending $10 to see a Broadway play, $10, really? Because each ticket costs hundreds of dollars. So if the
Right.
whole family can see it for $10, pretty cool.
Right.
Um, you know,
Right.
and then also, my niece today was telling me about some really cool things. One was, if you have an iPhone, something called Game Pigeon.
Mm-hmm.
So you can actually play games in real time through your iPhone with a friend,
Yep.
actually. And then you can also go through Netflix and have a Netflix party, and you send your friends a link, and you can all watch a movie together and chat while the movie, message while the movie's playing.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so
I'm definitely going to use that.
so I was like, oh my gosh, this is incredible. And so, I was like, is this appropriate for all ages? It sure is,
Right.
So we're talking about that fourth grade kid, or that 22-year-old who is
Right.
now trying to figure out, how am I a college student and in my mom's house and being treated like a teenager and having chores to do and being told to watch my sister and bathe the baby and cook dinner and all this craziness, right? Like it's hard. It really, really is hard. And
Yeah.
one of the things that I really, really press is being compassionate with one another, having empathy, sympathy. No, well, I don't want anybody to feel sorry for me, but let's be empathetic towards each other. Let's have compassion, because I might be having a great day, but tomorrow may not be.
Right.
Um, I can tell you last week, 2 days were not great days for me. I can't tell you why. It was just hard.
Right.
And I'm getting out every day. I'm going for long walks. I'm being active. I'm doing projects in the house. I'm working. I am teaching virtually. I'm contacting students, parents, guardians. Like, I am busy. I'm trying new recipes. And just doing a bunch of different things. But still, it was just like, those 2 days were just not my best. But I had to find myself out, and I did.
And,
I
and,
did.
and I really appreciate you for saying that, because all days are not like, the best, and we all have our days, right? And there are times where I'm like, AJ, just get on your laptop, get on your iPad. And typically, right, when outside was open, right, we would we would suggest that he's on the iPad for 45 minutes to an hour a day. And a lot of times we didn't even let him use it during the week. We would only allow him to use it on the weekends. But these days we're like, get on. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, this guy is on for like 2 hours a day. And those days I really feel guilty, right? But then I realize, but then I understand that, like, yo, pump your brakes. This is different. This is a different time, and you have to be compassionate with yourself. So in terms of like next steps, Nicole, what is your opinion, or what is your suggestion to the viewers in terms of next steps?
Well, I have that in my document. I have moving forward, and I think there are 4 steps, 4
And let
things
me
that
just say this. Anybody who's interested in seeing the document, is a running document. We will email it to those who want to access to it. But
Okay.
go ahead.
Okay. And I called it moving forward. I think, first of all, a routine, having that stability, because in this time of chaos, I just feel like we need to have mental health.
Yeah.
And having this routine just promotes a focus, a purpose, independence, self-advocacy. I truly
Right.
believe in this. Number 2, being together and being present. You need to separate your work from your family time, your independent personal time. It's great that kids are seeing their parents work from home. I think it's amazing. But remember that this is a new norm, and that no matter what, that we have to keep a healthy routine and allow ourselves a weekend to occur. So on those Saturdays and Sundays, put that work away, or whatever days it is, whatever your Saturday or Sunday are, close it down, put it away. Just, and maybe go to bed a little later, maybe sleep in a little longer, maybe have a special breakfast, maybe take an extra long outdoor activity, something a little different than just your weekly schedule.
Right.
I think number 3 is that it's very important to take me time.
Right.
Like I said before, you need to dive into your personal interests. You need to be you. You need to regroup. You need to reset. You need to be there for your family, but you need to take care of yourself first. And that's everybody in the family.
Absolutely.
And then number 4 is just to be mindful and compassionate. So we can't assume, this is my final thing, we cannot assume that others know how to stay strong. And we can't assume that we're always all strong. So we need to remember to be there and support one another. And I just really, that just goes, that just really connects to the fact of staying in touch with your family and friends. Make those FaceTime video conferencing calls, make those text messages
Absolutely.
happen, pick up the phone and call your aunt who doesn't have Wi-Fi, like just make those connections and keep it alive.
Oh, absolutely. So Nicole, thank you so much. I know with all of these glitches and all that craziness, right? It caused a little like hiccup in our system, but you remained ever so graceful and ever so knowledgeable, and I really appreciate you. And if any of you guys go ahead, go
Oh,
ahead.
no, thank you so much for having me. And, I just hope that this touches everyone. And I hope that we were able to shed some light and open some eyes and expound upon some different age groups that weren't discussed before.
No, absolutely. First of all, Nicole, you don't even look like you're in a quarantine. Look at this. Like I had to find a really good picture that didn't show like my struggle, if you will, and I had to show it. Right now, you look like you've been pampered this entire time.
I haven't, no, I take care of myself. I take me time. I wanted to paint my nails and I didn't get to. That's okay. So I do believe that everything that I said is what I'm living by. And for
Absolutely.
me, part of my schedule is getting up and getting dressed every day because
Absolutely.
because I like to do that. That's what makes me feel good. That's what makes me feel ready. I can come down and have breakfast and be in my pajamas, go upstairs and be like, oh my gosh, it's already 10 o'clock. I've done nothing all day.
Right.
Where if I'm up and dressed, I come down and I have breakfast and it's 10 o'clock, it's like, oh, I'm ready to get started for the day. It's
Absolutely.
a different mindset for me. And so this is what works for me. So this is what I'm making myself do.
Absolutely, and we really appreciate you for just giving us all the tidbits that will essentially help us with our children, right? Which is our greatest commodity.
Absolutely.
Um,
There
and
are
I just want to let everyone know Nicole can be reached via email NICM Morrow. So NICMMORROWW @gmail.com. So it's NICMMORROW @gmail.com. And I'll make sure to like put that on the screen somewhere. If you would like the resources, we could reach out to her so that she could email them directly.
absolutely.
And I'm just excited about this. Is the first episode of the live stream of The Right Perspective. Stay tuned for next in 2 weeks. Actually, next week I'll be doing another episode about anxiety and how to cope with anxiety during these trying times. And I hope that you will tune in. Thank you, Nicole,
Thank you.
and just appreciate
My
you.
pleasure.
Thank you.
All right.
We'll talk soon. I'll call you later.
Bye.
Bye
Bye,
bye.
y'all.
Bye.